Good morning, everyone. Mark and team, congratulations. It's been a very well organized and nice event. My name is Miika Pylvänäinen. Don't worry, my last name is difficult even for some Finnish people, so Ralph, you did a very good job there. I've been in RFID 18 years in a company called Confidex that got acquired by Beontag a few years ago, and currently I'm leading the product management at Beontag. And today I'm honored to share the stage with Pierre Guinault from Michelin.
So, good morning everyone, happy to be here with you. So Pierre Guinault, working at Michelin for 8 years now and 8 years on RFID. And I am system manager on RFID applications, so supporting all solutions, application services around RFID tires for internal but also customer applications.
It's not working. There it is. So we will talk to you today a bit about the automotive use cases when it comes to RFID. And then the second half of the presentation, Pierre will dive deeper into the tire tagging. It's 20 minutes, so of course we are just scratching the surface of such a big topic, but of course happy to continue the discussions after the presentations. But first, I know in this audience especially there's a lot of people that are very familiar with companies and brands that Beontag acquired a few years ago, and I wanted to take the opportunity to emphasize the change that we have made. I'm the managing director of Confidex and Stora Enso RFID, but I go by product director of Beontag because that is who we are. We are now Beontag. There's no longer Confidex. Confidex was a very strong partner of Zebra, and that's why I have had a lot of discussions also these 2 days about Confidex, but no, we are Beontag now. And while integrating the companies, we have also integrated the product portfolios. And if you look at the portfolios of each of these companies that got acquired, they are very complementary. And I think it's fair to say that as an outcome of this integration of product portfolios, we have the broadest tag portfolio there is in RFID industry, from industries to luxury to retail to paper labels, all that. When I talk about products in general, I avoid talking about our industrial portfolio or retail portfolio, luxury, hospitality portfolio, because when we design products, we design them to be as cross-segment as possible. You can take a tire tag and put it inside your shoe. Same product, but very different use case. We have retail customers that are using the most robust hard tags that we have ever developed to track the containers, to track the metallic roll cages that they have. Then we have automotive customers that are using the most affordable paper label we have to track their logistics. So there's a lot of kind of cross usage between the segments for the same products. But these are the 4 key segments that you see on the screen that we serve through our 80 public products. If you go to beontag.com, you will find 80 products, or about 2,000 product variants or totally different kind of products that you don't see on our public portfolio. We still do a lot of custom products for customers that require some sort of specific designs, such as tire tag with Michelin. The acquisitions Beontag did, they were very complementary, not only in product perspective, but also from production footprint point of view. Today we can produce RFID in China, Italy, Brazil, and US. So pretty well covered, which in this stage of world where we are, it really is a good point that you can produce in different continents. Then we have our main R&D center in Tampere, Finland, the capital of RFID, where I'm also located at. Many of you have been, for a reason or another, in Tampere, I'm sure. RFID in automotive. What are then the applications where we see RFID really expanding, let's put it this way? Supply chain and container management. This can be tagging returnable transport items, huge containers, small plastic boxes, or it can be a disposable packaging. Parts and material tracking from prototype parts to mass production, like tires, it's a part of a car, or tens of other parts that we are tracking and tagging today. Production control, which is of course a very broad application as such, but we have car manufacturers that have built their whole production control system over RFID. They start building a car by adding a tag as a first part, and then it follows through the whole production cycle, electrolyte paths and all that. Distribution, outbound of finished cars, lifecycle and mobility services, more after-sales use cases. And then we consider tire tracking still as a separate application from other parts because it's so important for us and important for the whole industry. Why are these companies then using RFID? If we first look at the box on the left side, I think this is the easy one because every car manufacturer today, they use RFID in some part of their process. They can be tracking raw materials, containers, parts, cars during production, cars leaving the production. There's some application where they use RFID today. Real-time visibility, inventory accuracy, big words in the industry, of course. Knowing where your things are, when am I going to receive something, very important. But not only that, also to prevent receiving too early. We heard already today, we heard yesterday that consumers are getting more demanding in a way that they want to control the shipment. They want to control when do they receive a package. And this is exactly what we have been dealing in automotive for years already, just-in-time deliveries. They don't want to get parts into their stock. They want to get part 1 hour before they actually need the part. It's very, very much structured in a way that everything comes in time. There was a study made that 14% of annual budget for the RTIs, returnable transport items, is spent to replace missing RTIs. And the whole RTI business is about 60 to 80 billion USD. You can make the math. It's a huge amount of money that is spent because of missing RTIs. So a need to know where your things are, where are the containers, who didn't return, it's very valuable and the need is there and there's a clear benefit knowing where those are going. We could add here on the list, like Ralph highlighted, sustainability. RFID is a great enabler for companies to achieve their CO2 goals, sustainability goals. It's a big part of this technology. Mitigating shipping errors, enhancing receiving, staging processes, a lot of benefits. Quality is something that I want to highlight here specifically. There's a lot of legal requirements, and there's only more and more legal requirements to document that you have done things that you should do. And here also RFID can help. You can automate some of the documentation. As an example, we made a clip that you use to attach airbags on cars, which starts to transmit only when it's properly closed. So you can imagine you put airbags, 10 of those into a car. Once you close the clips, you can automatically check with the RFID that they are all there, they are all closed, instead of having another guy coming after the operator to visually check that they are all there. There's a lot you can do with RFID when it comes to quality check and documentation. Then on the right side, we move more and more towards consumer here. Tires with the DPP, that's a great example of cradle to grave type of process. Full life cycle of a tire is followed with RFID. Tolling, very good example also of something that happens after the car production. You just drive through a tolling gate and you don't even see the magic that happens. You get automatically charged by that. But here we are only getting started. I have EM45 here in my pocket. Once we have RFID in other phones, then I think this is the application area where we see, of course, a lot of more and more applications when you have a link to the consumer. Now, one more slide before I let Pierre loose. When I talk about tire tags with our customers, every now and then I hear a bit of a confusion that what is a tire tag, because there are different form factors in use. Here I have 3 of those. We have embedded tire tag, we have bead label that gets attached on the sidewall of a tire, and then we have the tread label, which is the one that you see on tires when you buy one, with the information of how efficient is this tire and all that. On the left side there, the end user information means that does end user have easy access to the information. With UHF, it's not there yet. Maybe one day this would also be a blue tick there, but we are not there yet. Of course, they can get access to the information by taking tire to a place that has the tools to dig the information from the UHF tag. But I will not go through the table in details, but instead I will let Pierre to talk us through the embedded tire tag case.
Thank you, Miika. It's one of the original leitmotiv that we have. It's RFID for us, RFID for tires. It's connecting tire to their ecosystem. And all in this room are potentially a part of this ecosystem. Because we are tire manufacturer, we purpose some services for fleets, for example, but the complexity of tires, it's multi-industry products. We are delivering products for automotive industry, vehicle manufacturers, for retail, for distribution. Sometimes it's part of the mobility ecosystem. And for this, we need partners in the world to support this market transformation, because we are starting with actors with a low level of digitalization, and tomorrow, maybe with new regulation, new business opportunities, they need solutions, hardwares, softwares, to support them in this transition. Just a reminder about what is RFID for tires. Of course, when we want to build a system across industries, across business, we need standard and interoperable standard. And here we are not talking about Michelin standard, but tire industry standard. We have worked together. It started 10 years ago to define some standard at ISO level to ensure future regulation and to have something that we can all put in place and ensure that it can be used whatever the application. So first thing, of course, is the RAIN RFID, the embedded tire tag. So thanks, for example, for Beontag to be one of our suppliers with the tire tag fully embedded, so put during the tire production to ensure traceability from cradle to grave, to leverage use cases until the end of life. Second part, it's encoding. So we use AGT96 like retail. And the last part is standardization around data access. We have only a unique ID, and all the data are managed by the manufacturer in the cloud. And to do it, we need a standard way to access data. To achieve this, we create an association, non-profit association called GDSO, and it's like your tire data space, leveraging the unified standardized access to data, whatever the brand. For us, RFID, when we decided to invest R&D in R&D to develop tire tag, to find solution on the market, our goal it was to have a solution that we can use during the full life cycle of the tire. So not only for manufacturing purpose or logistic, but something that we can use until the end of life. And it was our strategy 20 years ago. So, of course, we have same use cases. There's a lot of players here in the room, and we have developing more and more use cases, developing solutions with integrators for conveyor application, manual identification for fleets, and also gates for retread, traceability, and also end-of-life collection. But today, I want to highlight the challenge of tomorrow, because here it's already in application. We have car manufacturers requesting 100% of RFID, transforming their plant to also track tires with RFID. But now, our next challenge is to use RFID tires as a key enabler for the circular economy. In our mission is to support all sustainable tire, so to ensure that we manage correctly the raw material sourcing, the origin of the material, and ensure traceability during the whole life cycle, because we see evolution on the market. Consumer wants transparency about recycling of parts, vehicle parts, tires. So it makes a challenge to ensure this transparency and avoid greenwashing. And for this, we are fully convinced that in our 4R strategy, so to reuse, to revalorize, to recycle, to renew, and so on, to be able to use RFID to achieve this. So when we talk about circular economy, for sure the key element is to have the traceability of each tire, because at the end of life, identifying a tire is complex because the sidewall can be completely erased. So for end-of-life tires collector, sometimes there are no way to identify correctly. And it's complex to identify a tire. For a lot of people, it's just round, black. You see, you have the brand, you have the size, but you have also some specific marking to highlight some specific compounds for noise cancelling, for self-seal capabilities, some car manufacturer marking because it has been developed for a car. And all of this specificity can have impact on the recycling process. So for the end-of-life collectors, sometimes it's mandatory to process this tire correctly. A tire with foam, so to cancel noise, if you shrink the tire with the foam, you can have a fire and damage completely the shrinker. So it's become more and more critical. And during the product life cycle, the main thing is we have a lot of change in the product description. Because when we build a tire, okay, it's a Michelin tire, so it's easy. We can have the complete digital twin of this tire. But during its usage, for example, it will be used in fleets. In fleets, you can have regrooving. So we cut rubber in thread to create a new thread pattern to reuse in the first life. We could have also retread. So we change the thread, we replace the thread. And in this case, if it's done by Michelin, okay, it's easy to manage. But in retread, you have big actors. So Michelin casings, Michelin tire could become a Bridgestone tire, Goodyear tire. Or it can be also done by some small actors. In some countries, it's not big license. It's some specific actors, and they buy trend and do some rework. And here, we are not in a closed loop. We are in an open loop. And it has impact on the product composition. We see also more and more second-hand market because, for example, when you have a puncture, it's a legal requirement. You have to change both tires on the axle. So, of course, you have one tire with a puncture, but potentially the other it's quite new. So in this case, there are markets to try to associate tires with the same remaining tread depth and offer a tire as a second hand on the market. And the other challenge, and probably the most critical for the tire industry in Europe, it's we have more and more constraints to integrate recycled material in our product composition. To achieve this, we need to recycle tire. And you saw yesterday in the EcoPol+ presentation, we are lucky in Europe. We collect a lot of tires, but today only a small part is recycled. And tomorrow, it could be a strategic figure for Europe, because when we see some conflicts, we can have some trouble to supply raw material. We see with Russia a few years ago, in this case, we had to stop immediately to import, for example, carbon black from Russia, so we have to find another supplier to qualify it, to ensure that we don't decrease the performance of our tires. So it creates a mess to reorganize our supply chain. And if tomorrow we have other conflicts and we lose, I don't know, Russia, China, North America, how to build tires in Europe if we don't have this raw material not available in Europe? It's here the critical part is we need to ensure that this end-of-life tire used in Europe stay in Europe and be used to provide recycled material that we can integrate in our compound. And it's why in Europe, the new regulation, ESPR, so Eco-Design for Sustainable Product Regulation, with the famous digital product passport, is for us a great opportunity to achieve this, to avoid to have tires sent to be burned in cemetery or exported in Africa. We need to keep these tires in Europe and help recyclers to valorize this waste as added value material for us. And at the end, we reach what has been showcased by during EcoPol+ presentation. We need also to support recyclers to manage the traceability of these worn tires, because, for example, some recyclers sell the recycled material to a tire manufacturer, and for us, it's important we can valorize it better if we know that a batch of recycled material is coming from a homogeneous batch of tires to avoid to decrease their performance. And of course, at the end, same question as EcoPol+, we need to ensure this traceability in all the digital product passport and finally close the loop, but with an open ecosystem. So to achieve this, Europe has started a consortium called SIRPAS2, helping industries to work on pilots, to leverage especially B2B application, and to try to make the system in a scale-up phase to ensure how to trace all of these events with external actors. So it means that starting, of course, with tire manufacturers, but how retraders, integrated or external retraders, can share the update of the tire. So to ensure that the original tire manufacturer has the last status, because the DPP should be managed until the end of life of the product by the original manufacturer. It's important to keep this information, and also collectors. So in this case, they need to know the final composition to process it correctly. So it's part of the pilot. This pilot is 3 years, and it will be operationally launched in October to try during 2 years to leverage more and more actors. And for this, we need ecosystem to support this transition.
Thank you, Pierre. Now, if you're interested to see how does a tire tag look inside a tire, please stop by our stand there, and I can show you. We have some tires there. That's 3 seconds left on our clock. Thank you.
Thank you.